White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. The home of the Blue Jays was very kind to the Sox last night in an 11-4 victory, and the Sox try to make it 2 in a row here in Ontario this afternoon.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and Melky Cabrera last night and also a couple of days ago has really revved up the offense for the Sox.
Melky's been absolutely doing it all, both defensively and offensively, but let's look at the offense first as the Milkman has delivered. 4 for his last 9. He scored 4. He's driven in 7. This game against Baltimore gets the big hit of the ball game, and the Sox go on to take 3 of 4. But then Melky, returning to a place that he called home for quite some time, delivers. Line drive rocket home run, a 3-run homer, giving him 5 runs driven in last night. And Melky led the way in an offensive barrage. And over the last 23 games, he's sitting close to 360 with 5 home runs, 21 driven in, 12 multi-hit games. So Melky is showing that he's a .290 lifetime hitter. He's going to get there again, and right now he's helping to lead the way.
And he did so defensively last night for the Sox as well. He was a part of a very sturdy defensive effort.
The defense last night was right where it had to be, and it was near perfect ball game. We'll take a look at Yolmer. He goes up as high as he can possibly go to take a base hit away, and then Melky comes into play with a pinpoint throw, cutting down a would-be run. But Jose Quintana helping himself. It was life-preserving, this double play, and Jose gets out with 7 strong innings. So he threw the ball well, winning his 3rd game of the year. He got 11 runs in support. That's a rarity for him.
He said, wow, that was a lot of runs after the game. Very nice for Jose. And in terms of the pitching matchup today, what do we have?
It's a very big right-hander against a semi-big right-hander. We have the very big one at 6'7". Marcus Stroman isn't all that big, but he's very good. Mike Pelfrey coming off a relief appearance. It's unusual for a starter to do that. He's 2-5 this year. You see the 1 relief appearance and 10 starts. We'll see how he fares today. Marcus Stroman over the last 7 starts, 5-0, his ERA at 2.34. He's been brilliant. He's a good athlete, and this is a guy that is the #1 for the time being for these Blue Jays.
Well, the roof is open. We'll see how the pitchers fare. Ball usually flies better in that case here at Rogers Center, as the Sox had 5 guys with 2 hits or more in the game last night, trying to make it 2 in a row after this.
In Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
So here's the bargain, right? You pay $225 and you get to edgewalk on the CN Tower and hang over the city of Toronto. You, for just $225, can terrify yourself.
But the big advantage is you get 50% off because it's Father's Day weekend. It's normally $450, and so I think personally it's a bargain, and I'm going to do it when this game ends.
50% off the price or your courage?
You need a lot of courage.
My
I'll say that.
Goodness, that's just scary watching it, I gotta say.
It is.
Roof's open. Sox are wearing the Father's Day weekend jerseys as Major League Baseball partners with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to help beat prostate cancer this weekend. And we heard from Michael Milken during the last homestand about this cause and how wonderful it is.
They've raised over $700 million since this was started by Michael Milken, and certainly they have gone most of the way, not all of the way yet, but a lot of the way to curing prostate cancer, and with it assorted other cancers that come along with the research that goes into it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful event put on each and every year. And here in Toronto, a gorgeous day for baseball once again. The fact is, both of the games, the roof has started open. Last night, because of the rain, they had to close it. Today, hopefully, with John Gibbons calling ahead to see if there are showers in the future, there won't be.
He was laughing it up on the phone. I don't know if Aziz Ansari is on the other end of that in the bullpen, but he's having a good old time.
He's sending his ace to the mound today, and every time they get close, that's 7 times, including last night, close to going to 500. They've lost 7 straight games, including the barrage last night.
They're trying to climb out of the well, and they get to see the light and then fall a little bit further down. Here's the Sox starting lineup. Team's got the best batting average in baseball the last 30 games. Alan Hansen leads it off after a career night last night. Told you about Melky, then Abreu and Garcia. Frazier, Davidson, Anderson batting 7th. Narvaez and Sanchez is 9th.
Let's take a look at the defense. And now John Gibbons is going to line him up behind Marcus Stroman. Dwight Smith Jr. getting the start in left field with Kevin Pillar and Jose Bautista. Josh Donaldson at third with Troy Tulowitzki, winner of 2 Gold Gloves. Ryan Goins, who is probably a Gold Glover, waiting to happen. And Justin Smoak hitting everything in sight. He's at first base with Luke Maile behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher has been remarkable. That's Marcus Stroman at 7-2. His ERA a touch over 3. He's a sinker baller, not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, and at 5 feet 8 inches tall. Most of the time, a starting right-hander does not get a first-round pick at 5'8". But the Duke graduate was an exception to that rule, and the Jays are very happy to have him. So the umpires for the game this afternoon, the crew chief, Mike Winters, has the plate. Mark Wegner's at first. Ryan Additon is at second, and Mike Muchlinski is at third. A gorgeous day for baseball. Very warm, very humid here, which means the ball is going to fly more than normal. Last night, it was rocketing out of the ballpark with line drives and towering fly balls alike, leaving the friendly confines.
Darryl Boston having a little fun with the first base umpire, Mark Wegner.
Well, hopefully they can get to Marcus Stroman early. He's one of those guys, because of his sinker, and his sinker gets better as he moves along. You want to get to him early before it starts to sink. We're going to see how many of those would-be ground balls turn into line drives the first 2 innings before Marcus has the requisite fatigue to be able to sink it.
He is one of the best ground ball pitchers in Major League Baseball, and he faces Alan Hansen first. And we are underway with strike 1 called from the 26-year-old from Long Island, Marcus Stroman.
Mike Winters gives him that pitch, then the boys are going to have to look outside, because that ball is borderline, probably a touch off the corner.
There's a ground ball right side. Stroman is over to flag it down and tap the bag. Nice play for out number 1.
That's the only play that he had. If he tries to throw it, Hansen's going to beat it out. Marcus Stroman is an exceptional athlete, and it helps him here to right his footwork, get the baseball actually behind him, and then step on the bag a half a step ahead of Hansen. So a good play by Stroman to kick it off.
Remember, Alan Hansen's infield single started the Sox 4-run rally in the first inning last night.
He's got great speed and getting an opportunity to play center field, not overly used to center field, and this is not an easy center field to play.
Melky Cabrera, a statue for strike one. We were talking to our CSN insider Dan Hayes before the game, and he noted during the game yesterday that Melky was getting a lot of heckling from his former friends out there in the left field stands.
It's usually the case when you return to a place that you called your home field for a while.
220 plus games for Melky, who wraps this one to shortstop, and the infield's going to be busy today for Stroman. 2 down.
A couple of years ago, Marcus had a knee problem, had surgery. It curtailed his year. Now he's entirely healthy, and when he is healthy, it's ground ball after ground ball.
Well, and for the Blue Jays, it's good news that he sprang off the mound like he did. I know it's been a couple years dating back to 15, but he was hurt in a bunt drill in spring training that he was called off on a ball by Donaldson, tried to pivot toward the ACL. So here's Abreu, and that's ball one.
We do know one thing: long after the physical aspects of any injury go away, the psychological aspects of the injury still are there, and one of them is quick acceleration, but apparently that's by the boards also.
Maile tried to bring it up to get the strike and didn't get the call, so 2-0 on Abreu, who finished that Baltimore series 8 for 16 and went 2 for 5 yesterday. Two balls and a strike. Time for picks to click. You can vote online, whitesox.com/pick to click. And Steve has taken the lead, and he is going with Melky once again.
Ride the hot hand.
Frazier to the crew. I've got Anderson, and the fans go with Jose Abreu. You shouldn't be able to pick the same guy back-to-back games, honestly.
I agree with you, and I hardly ever do, except when I do.
That logic class really did work out for you, didn't it?
It was one of the great things I took in the 8 years of college I had.
That's the architecture plus degree. 2-2 on Abreu. What do you know? Another ground ball. Tulowitzki just got him. Stroman, who gets nearly 3 ground balls for every fly ball, had 3 on the turf in this inning, and Pelfrey goes out. Last night on home runs, 3 of them, and here's the lineup today. Kevin Pillar leads it off again. The Donaldson, Bautista, and Morales. Smoak is once again in the 5 spot at first. Tulowitzki, and then the changes come. Dwight Smith Jr. gets the start. Goins at second base, and then Maile, the catcher, with Pelfrey, the right-hander, on the mound.
Let's take a look at the defense and how Ricky's going to line them up. It's Melky, Allen and Abasail in the outfield with Davidson, Anderson, Sanchez, and Abreu in the infield. Omar Nervious coming off a big night last night behind the plate. And our Lexus experienced amazing starting pitchers Mike Pelfrey. Looking for his third win. The ERA very respectable at 3.81. He's got his work cut out for him. As this Toronto team can hit the ball out of the park frequently.
To shortstop on pitch number 1, and Tim Anderson throws out Pilar to open the offense for Toronto.
Those 4 hitters, 4 ground balls. That's usually a good sign, especially in this park where at 328 down each line and the fence not overly high, line drives have a tendency to go out, as we saw last night a couple times.
The ball Melky hit was his hardest hit home run in the StatCast era at 110 miles an hour. Barely got off the ground.
The only problem was, would it stay high enough long enough, and then it disappeared over the wall.
One down for Josh Donaldson, who with Oakland made his major league debut here in this building 7 years ago. Now a Blue Jay. Off the plate outside, and Pelfrey, you mentioned the very respectable ERA. Last 5 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer.
He's actually slowed down that big curveball.
There it is.
And there it is. This was at 71. Actually, last year he averaged just under 74 miles per hour for that curveball. This year it's just over 71 miles an hour for an average. So he's decided to take a little something off it, and it's not producing a lot of contact.
Called a strike, nipped the corner, 2-2.
Donaldson has very good power to right and right center field. So if you just want to live outside, you probably have a problem.
Former MVP just a couple of years ago.
This entire at bat has been spent away from Donaldson. It's Jose Bautista stretching in the on deck circle. Not having his finest of years.
Just a 229 batting average wise. Swing and a miss for strike 3, and Pelfrey does take care of Donaldson on 6 pitches, 2 down.
His game plan, at least the first time through, was stay away with everything. This ball just off the outside corner. But he had Donaldson in swing mode. He continues to swing with no contact.
Just strikeout number 26 for Donaldson, though he's missed a good deal of time with a calf injury, as Pelfrey throws that curveball at 72 to start Bautista.
Shift in the infield. Yolmer is playing not exactly on the third base side of second, but close. Now we're going to see a hitter squeezing the sawdust out of the bat, looking for a 2-0 fastball.
He fouls it away.
He got one right down the middle. That ball was letter high, very hittable, but fortunately Bautista just got a little piece.
.36 years old now, Jose Bautista. Former Pittsburgh Pirate takes a strike. 11th start of the year for Pelfrey, and the only relief appearance came just a couple of days ago against Baltimore on his side day. Just off the plate, trying to needle that corner, 3-2.
Our pitch to lay off because it was a slider. It looked like a strike, then disappeared from the zone.
Caught the corner, strike 3. And Mike Pelfrey strikes a couple out in the first inning. No base runners so far in Toronto. Chicago is presented by State Farm, and we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on TV cable of Rensselaer in Rensselaer, Indiana. TV cable. Sox jersey. Another group of Sox fans. They are vying for a new prize we're giving out on the telecast. It's called Fan of the Day.
I think it's actually going to be a wildly successful campaign, seeing as you can win something, it doesn't cost you anything, which is the ideal situation to be involved in.
The legend of Steve Stone distilled into one sentence.
Prizes, but no cost.
It'll be Avi Garcia, Todd Frazier, and Matt Davidson here in the second inning. With no base runners so far, and Marcus Stroman going upstairs to get a swing from Avi, 0-1.
Stroman's pretty good friends with Tampa Bay's Chris Archer, and they talk a whole lot about pitching. Both young pitchers, both very talented, both have good arms.
Ground ball to first. Smoak feeds Stroman.
That was a quick pitch by Stroman, and a really good idea against a quality hitter, and Avi has been this year, but he sped it up. And that's one of the reasons why in his last 10 starts he's gone 6-0. You look at those numbers, he's been outstanding. His last loss in the middle of April to the Red Sox. And with Aaron Sanchez down, Stroman has become more important because he is the #1 starter of this team. So in talking with Archer, Archer told Stroman, fill up the strike zone consistently. Don't nibble at the corners. Your stuff is good enough to go right at hitters. He's taken that advice to heart, and the control's been a whole lot better. And a sinker baller's not looking for strikeouts anyway. He wants contact, and he wants it on the ground.
Who was the guy when you were playing that you got the most from talking to as another pitcher?
One of the guys was a pitching coach who was actually active. His name was Don McMahon, and what he told me, because I was having all kinds of problems keeping the ball inside the left-hand hitters because it ran over the plate, he showed me the cutter, the first guy to do that. And he said, look, you don't have to have really good control with the cutter. Throw it down the middle and it'll take it off the sweet spot of the bat. The hitter will identify it as a fastball. He goes to swing, it comes in on his hands. And don't make it sink, because you don't want it sinking to a left-hand hitter. You want it to stay up. So he was probably the greatest influence. As an amateur player, I had the ability to go out and have dinner with a major league pitcher by the name of Mel Stottlemyre.
Yep.
And he told me some pretty good things.
Todd Frazier obliterates this ball. Left field and way out of here.
After 4 ground balls, a towering home run, the 11th by Frazier. He's driven in 33. And Marcus Stroman gives up just his 8th home run in 83 innings of work. Ford home run replay is a towering home run, and you see this ball stay on the inside part of the plate and gone. This is one really lively ballpark.
Oh my goodness. Well, here's Matt Davidson with a run on the board. And there is strike #1. So for Todd Frazier, 21 extra base hits now. And some energy let out, being interviewed by Derek Holland. Todd, your thoughts?
Well, the sad part about it is that,
well, interview over. Todd actually big timed him.
Derek looks like he's looking for what happens when his career is over. And I assume it's going to be in the analyst chair. So nice talking with you. Good luck. See you down the road, Pally.
Who gave him a microphone in the dugout? Davidson in the air, left center field, and this ball is up and out. Well, he didn't have one yesterday, but a new streak starts today. 2-0.
15th home run, 36th driven in, and a line drive rocket to left center field that just didn't come down. Big smile on the face of Matt Davidson. Yet another Ford home run replay. This is a slider that didn't do a whole lot, and Matt just goes down and gets it.
So with those home runs, more generous donations from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Frazier and Davidson commiserate.
Not exactly in Bash brother territory, but they're working on it.
Fourth time with back-to-back homers for the Sox this year. And this is a rather unlikely guy to do it against.
I mean, coming in just 7 home runs allowed. That has risen by 2 in 83 innings of work.
Gets a swing and a miss from Anderson. Strikeout number 1 for Stroman.
One of the things we talked about with a sinker ball pitcher is they get much more effective as the game moves along. Early in the game, they're very strong. Sinker has a tendency not to sink quite as much, and that's when they hit the line drives and the fly balls, and that's what happened here in the second inning. Omar with a big night last night.
3 out of 4. Double, 2 runs scored. That after 13 days without a hit. So they came pouring out in the opener last night.
He saved them up in the better late than never category. He was one of the guys helping to lead the way. 5 different guys had multi-hit games last night. Ballard not playing overly deep in center field. He is an excellent defender. Marcus Stroman, the first ever #1 draft pick out of Duke University, went back during his knee surgery rehab to get his degree.
When that knee injury happened, his first thought after talking to the doctor was maybe it's just a strain, and then the doctor came in and said, look, I hate to tell you this, but the ACL is gone. And Stroman, first thing he did, he called both his parents, cried through those conversations. Very difficult to think about. There's strike 3 on Narvaez to retire the side. But the Sox get on the board in a big way. Todd Frazier with a real long home run, and with stardom comes interview needs. Then Matt Davidson goes deep, and it's old hat, so Derek Holland didn't want to talk to him. 2-0 Sox.
forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, Steve, the Sox opened the day 5 games out of first in the American League Central at 30-36. Toronto at 32-34, 6.5 back of the Yankees in the American League East. But the Sox have, in a road-heavy schedule, done a very nice job of staying around and in touch with the division, which it has helped that Minnesota or Cleveland hasn't run away.
In this division this year, if you can stay in contention and you have the Sox schedule, it really is a tremendous advantage, because you get a good portion of the road schedule out of the way. In fact, when we return home from this trip, Sox will have played 44 games on the road. You see that the Sox are very much still in it. The Royals playing better baseball, but the Sox starting to ease their way into contention.
Kansas City has won 6 in a row. Royals are on the West Coast playing the Angels later on tonight. Tipped foul. I mean, you figured Kansas City would stick around, considering it's a lot of the same guys that got them deep into the postseason a couple years ago, and just 3 years before into the World Series and taking the loss.
And Lorenzo Cain is having a monster June. He's hit 8 home runs in June. That's one of the reasons why they have sprung back into contention. But Kansas City in the division 9-18. That's the one thing that stopped them from doing a bit better than they have. And as a team played better, however, and they have a pretty good team. If the bullpen holds together, they're going to be fine.
On the ground, left side and through. A shift beater for Morales.
Kendry's brought in to take the spot of Edwin Encarnacion. Gets an off-speed pitch and takes it by Todd Frazier. This artificial surface, if it's not, excuse me, by Davidson, if this artificial surface, if it's not hit right at you, odds are it's going through.
Tends to run.
It's going to accelerate after that first hop.
Smoak takes a strike. Switch hitter, 30-year-old Justin Smoak, who's got 19 home runs.
He doesn't run very well, grounding into 6 double plays, 5 of them from the left side.
But when he does get the ball in the air, he has been tremendous this year. Since May 11th, 14 home runs for Smoak. That's the most in Major League Baseball over that time, about a month and a week.
One of the things he said is he's having much more of an opportunity with Encarnacion not here. He's playing against left-hand pitchers a lot more than he did when Encarnacion was here.
That was an at-bat he'd want back. Pelfrey strikes him out on 3 and 1 down.
Sinks that one down and in, and Smoak expanded his strike zone. Nice stop by Nervious. The first out of the inning, leaving a double play ground ball to end the inning. And he's got the right guy up in Tulowitzki.
Troy 1 for 3 in last night's game with a walk. And there is strike 1.
He's had a distinct advantage not only against Mike Pelfrey as you look at 348, but playing in 2 wonderful hitters ballparks. Coors Field in Colorado and here at the Rogers Center.
It's part of the reason he is also he's extremely talented, but he's over 700 RBIs for his career.
So he's been a good player. The only thing that's ever stopped him is injuries, because this is a guy that can do just about everything. But he's had a hard time consistently staying together, and this year no exception. You look at his career batting average and career numbers, they're very impressive. This year playing in just his 34th game, due once again to injuries.
2 strikes on Tulowitzki from Pelfrey. Tulowitzki came into this series 2 for his last 24. Morales at first, and Pelfrey misses outside. Sox last year, remember, swept the Blue Jays here at Rogers Centre. First time since 2005 the Sox swept Toronto in this ballpark.
Toronto this year hasn't exactly been dominating at home. Blue Jays this year just 2 games over here at the Rogers Centre. 18-16. They've had their troubles with the East. The East, a loaded division. The Yankees running into some hard times. Loses a 4 in a row. Boston just a game back.
Two and two. Shot through the right side. Morales to second. 2 on for the Blue Jays with 1 down in the 2nd inning.
Mike's going to have to mix in some inside pitches to get these guys thinking about the inner portion of the plate. Pretty much everything has been away to just about every hitter the first time through the order. And if that's the game plan, that's fine. Then you're going to adjust the second time through. But Tulowitzki finally getting one away, taking it through the vacated right side.
Well, and we've seen the 2nd and 3rd time through for Pelfrey have not gone as well as planned at points this year. Ball 1 to Dwight Smith Jr., 24-year-old whose father had a very nice major league career.
In at bat last night. Base hit to center field was the result.
To right field, and Avi Garcia. Morales will not tag, and 2 down. White Sox fans, join us for Country Music Night as the White Sox take on the Oakland Athletics Friday, June 23rd, 7:10 p.m. And be sure to stay after the game for a post-game fireworks show presented by Coca-Cola. To buy tickets, visit whitesox.com/country.
That Friday night game is the kickoff to the longest homestand of the year to date. Oakland, and then the Yankees come in for a big 4-game series before Texas concludes the homestand.
And by the way, if you're on the fence of, hey, should I come to one of those Yankee games? Possibly. First of all, you should come to the game. And second of all, with what Aaron Judge has been doing to baseballs, he's the type of guy on a visiting team that's worth the price of admission.
Both Judge and Sanchez, 2 young, very powerful home run hitters. And you look at where Citizens and the clock is and the scoreboard, that's where Judge hit it during batting practice. Multiple times off the scoreboard, a couple of times over the Citizens sign. So knowing that he's powerful might not exactly explain just how far he can hit the baseball. But right now he's doing things that other people have just dreamt about. And whether it's a batting practice or not, you still have to hit it up there, and he's able to do that. So he's worth the price of admission.
Aaron Judge versus the CN Tower. Who wins? Coin flip?
Yeah, I'm taking the CN Tower. What's it, like 12,000 feet high?
I think it's 1,500, but your meter conversion has not been great. Fastball up and out to Ryan Goins, the left-hander getting the start today. 29-year-old second baseman for the Blue Jays.
Runners in scoring position, he seemingly bears down, and you would have to think he relishes this situation. Or he's going to have to hit it probably in between the outfielders if Morales is going to score.
In the air, right center field, and this ball finds the gap and bounces over the wall, saving the Sox a run. What was that about hitting it between the outfielders?
Unfortunately, Alan Hansen hasn't played a whole lot of center field, so he's not getting the greatest jumps or the best routes, and you would expect that, especially during the daytime. Not an easy position to play when you haven't played a whole lot of it. And Goins drives in his 22nd run. This ball is away from him, but he jumps out, pulls it, and for the moment a run saved. So the lead cut in half.
And the Jays have the 9-hitter Luke Maile up in just his 84th career major league game. Tips it foul for strike one. Former 8th round pick out of Kentucky, Maile, with Goins at second, Tulowitzki at third. Davidson charges and finishes the second inning. Blue Jays get one back. Pelfrey keeps the lead. 2-1 your score after 2 in Ontario.
Checking an official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available through local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
A couple of home runs for the Sox so far. Frazier and Davidson going back-to-back in the second inning off of Marcus Stroman, who has the glove to match his jersey here in Toronto.
John Gibbons, I'm sure, sending Stroman to the mound today, expecting that he goes deep into the ball game after using 6 relievers last night.
It was a raft of relievers. 1 inning each for 5 of them, and Dominic Leone with the 3 innings that he ate up in back of Joe Biagini, the starter, who did not make it out of the second inning.
Couple of cutters on the first 2 pitches. Nets Stroman 2 strikes.
Two strikes on Sanchez, and there is number 3. 3 straight punch-outs for Stroman. And we remind you the 2017 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. For low mortgage rates from your hometown lender. Check out rate.com today.
Blue Jays have a bit of a dilemma, and that's what to do with a couple of their starting pitchers. Marco Estrada, one of the best around, who has had some tough outings the last few times, and Francisco Liriano, both going to be free agents at the end of this year.
There's Marco.
He's got a great straight change, but lately hasn't had a feel for it, and those are big decisions. Estrada especially has huge value.
When Marco Estrada was coming up through the Nationals organization, he was a fine pitcher, but he never turned into what he is here for Toronto. Another case of somebody finding a home in another organization.
Well, he didn't have a great command of the straight change when he was coming up with the Nationals. He has developed that in the last, let's say, 3 years, and now it's his one pitch that he can usually depend on, and because of his motion and his release point being consistent with his fastball, nobody is able to sit on him.
1-2 to Hansen, and 2 balls and 2 strikes. Alan Hansen in center field because of Avi Garcia's hand injury, which has not landed him on the DL, but Ricky Renteria did not rule it out earlier today as Hansen strikes out and Stroman has found his groove.
Let's take a look at StatCast, powered by AWS. It's a line drive rocket by Melky, and he hit it from the right side. 110.2 miles per hour. The launch angle barely enough to get it over the wall, but over the wall it went. 5 big runs batted in for Melky.
How about the big clang off the wall that he got too? That's satisfying.
I think Melky was very happy with everything that happened last night, including the assist on a beautiful throw from left field.
You heard Bill Melton talk about in the pregame show that outfielders typically are taught to throw that on one hop, but Melky's got the arm to get it right there to the catcher, and Narvaez was waiting for it.
Talked with Dan Jennings about the field, and he told me for the game today that he was hoping that they would close the roof. He said last night was not only tremendously humid, but very warm down on the field, and he feels it's part of the reason is the artificial surface. Whatever the reason, they were melting last evening.
Down the line, Melky with another hit. He thought about a double, but Smith got to it very quickly. It's a 2-out single.
The former first-round draft pick of these Blue Jays inherited something that his father never did, and that is the ability to throw the baseball. Dwight was a really good hitter and didn't have much of an arm, so he didn't get out of his career what he probably should have. But with good genes, his son, supplemental pick, but a first-round draft pick nonetheless.
Dad did spend 8 years in the majors.
Very likable guy and a good left-hand hitter.
Now Jose with Melky at first.
They stop on a slider in the dirt. He quick pitched Jose the first time up, got the ground ball to shortstop, and Jose, I'm sure, not going to allow him to do it again. So when he does step into the box, he's going to be ready to swing. It's a lot different now, however, with Melky at first base.
Down low, 2-0. First 4 batters of this game for the Sox grounded out. Then the next 2 homered. Then 4 in a row struck out. Stroman has seemingly an addictive personality today.
It's a game of streaks. Tulowitzki at short, knocks it down, picks it up, and throws out Abreu.
to end the top of the third. Melky stranded at first. The Sox still have a 2-1 lead in Toronto. Presented by
Ozinga.
It's Yoan Moncada who goes 4 for 4 for the Charlotte Knights last night, and Brandon Doolin, who hammered Hagerstown in that series for Kannapolis, got another one yesterday in single A.
Nice to see Yoan feeling 100%, because when he came back from that brief stint of not playing, his thumb gave him some problems still. Now apparently the thumb is 100%, judging by last night. What a hitter he is, with power from both sides of the plate.
Mike Pelfrey to Kevin Pillar, who led Major League Baseball in defensive runs saved by center fielders last year with 21 of them. Kevin Pillar can really track it down. This is earlier this season. There's a dive coming in. Here's another dive. This one is horizontal.
Very good chance he would have already won a Gold Glove, but for Kevin Kiermaier, who is now disabled. So it does open it up this year for another center fielder to get that coveted award.
There's a strike, 3-1.
Outfield playing Pillar as an opposite field hitter, infield as a pull hitter.
The roof is moving, by the way, Steve. Pillar sends the baseball out to center, and Hansen for out number 1. Here is the real top shelf catch for Pillar, though. This is back on May the 8th, and watch where he goes for this ball. And come on now.
That really separates the center fielders, because a lot of them can go side to side. A few more are excellent at coming in. Not a whole lot excellent at going back. But Pillar is one of those guys that is.
Why is that, do you think?
I just think the ability to judge the ball going back, keeping your eye on it, especially in center field, and especially when the ball is hit straight over your head, is very difficult. Most guys will play a little deeper so they can come in more.
On the ground is shortstop and Anderson for the second out. That was part of the discussion about Alan Hansen in the coach's office leading up to yesterday's game, is that he feels very comfortable in left and right, but center field's a little bit different in terms of the angles and the amount of ground you have to cover.
It's also difficult to judge the velocity it comes off the bat if you're in center field, because you're not getting an angle. You're not able to take that first step. And then it takes a while to read it, to see exactly what it's going to do off the bat.
Breaking ball strike to Bautista with 2 down. Well, Mike Pelfrey hasn't gone as long into games as Miguel Gonzalez did last year for the Sox at the tail end of that season, but he has started to become that type of guy, something of a reclamation project from somebody else's organization, but he's here to eat up innings for the Sox. As Davidson does not get handcuffed, and Abreu takes his momentum toward the dugout. 1-2-3 inning for Pelfrey. 2-1 Sox.
Since April, the Chicago Fire take their winning ways to New England to take on the Revolution. Coverage begins tonight at 6 with Chicago Fire pregame live.
The Revs and the Fire getting together.
And when those two teams go head to head, you can certainly throw out whatever you want.
The recycling,
everything,
records,
rule book.
Throw out the rule book too.
All your old fruits, yes.
Here's Avi Garcia, and he looks at strike number 1. If it's seeming to get darker here as you're watching, it's because the roof is indeed closing. There's some weather on the way, so the 20-minute process has begun in earnest to close this Rogers Center roof.
Stroman got fortunate there because that was a hanging slider. Had it been just a touch lower, Avi probably takes a healthy cut at it, and you see it ever so slowly closing.
It's a man-made eclipse.
Normally, if you score a lot of runs early, you'd love to see them close the roof. It's still a 2-1 game, so it's not that home runs will not leave the ballpark, because they will. It's just a little more lively with the roof open.
1-2. Tulowitzki on the move and throws on the goal for out number 1. If you're just joining us as well and you see the Sox wearing the blue jerseys, this is for the Father's Day campaign for Major League Baseball against prostate cancer and the combination of MLB and the Prostate Cancer Foundation.
Blue uniforms, blue wristbands. and a payoff on every home run hit.
Todd Frazier helped the cause in the second inning. Not only with that ribbon, but the arms surrounding the ribbon. There's a drive to center field. Pilar is back on it, and he's got out number 2. Here's your Sox math question for today. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize from the press box here in Toronto. Number of hits for Allen Hansen last night plus the number of hits for Omar last night. That's your question.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weekend Sox math. It's the hammock of Sox math questions.
Good. You should have the winning answer now.
We better. Nothing gets people to play a game more than a threat, right? 2 down for Davidson, and he takes ball 1. You have the answer? Did you enter? You tweet from @SteveStone?
No, I tried, but what with all the charges internationally and all.
You didn't download your global Wi-Fi hotspot app?
Oh, I got a couple of those things, I think, somewhere in that contraption I have.
For the folks at home, by the way, Steve just picked up his phone as we're talking about using your tablet to tweet. Oh, wrong device. Might want to start.
That's why nothing's going through.
Put that rotary phone down. 2-1 on Davidson, who went back-to-back with Frazier in the second inning. And Matt Davidson with a home run now in 5 of his last 6 games. This sneaks through. 2-out single for Matt.
Again, without hitting it right at, in this case, Tulowitzki, you're not going to make the play. And Davidson can hit the ball very hard. Exit velocity helps not only on home runs, not only for distance, but it helps taking the ball through the infield. And Darryl Boston in an animated conversation.
Here's Tim Anderson for strike 1. Tim in this series has been either single or strikeout. He's 2 out of 6. 4 strikeouts, 2 base hits. And that will change. Bautista for the final out of the top of the 4th. Pretty quick inning for Stroman despite the Davidson single. 2-1 Sox after 3.5. Sox Insider all season long on CSNChicago.com, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday shop. The Great Escape. Mike Pelfrey. First pitch inside to Morales. And that's how the bottom of the fourth begins. Thanks for joining us this lovely Saturday afternoon from north of the border. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. Our entire crew here at Rogers Center. First base side, Abreu is after it, and it's foul. A couple rows back.
There's really no telling the direction of the career of Kendrys Morales if he doesn't shatter his ankle in a celebration at home plate. Because before then, he was all everything with the Angels, and they gave him a shot after it. It just didn't work out very well. He's always had power from both sides of the plate, so he's had a lot of jobs, but he was on the verge of being a superstar. And then curtailed by that injury.
Big rip there, 1 and 2. He missed a good chunk of 2010. Didn't play in 2011 at all. But in 2009, the year before the injury you're talking about, 43 doubles, 34 home runs, a 924 OPS.
And you see those guys do it from both sides of the plate, and I've talked to many switch hitters. They tell me the same thing. It's very difficult to keep the same stroke. They usually don't have the same stroke left-handed and right-handed, almost without exception, and there are exceptions to every rule, but they were natural right-hand hitters who started to swing from the left side, yet they have more power left-handed because they face many more right-hand pitchers. Good breaking ball from Pelfrey at 69 miles an hour. Strikes out Morales. He threw one inside, and then he went with this. The very slow breaking ball had Morales well out in front. Again, you can stride, but if you keep your hands back, you're going to hit this. After you stride, if your hands start to move, then you're done. And that's what happened. As Pelfrey continues to throw it pretty well in the early going. That look on Morales' face after the curveball was the I didn't look at the expiration date of this jug of milk look. A surprise on a very slow curveball because he had seen some slow ones. He just hadn't seen the very slow one yet. How about Pelfrey? He comes back and starts Smoak with just about the same pitch. Well, if this works out for him, if he continues to have a strong outing, which he's in the process of doing right now, he might be looking for that inning on his throw day between starts. It used to be pitchers did that a lot. They would go in the bullpen during the game. They would be ready to go in case they were needed. But you look at pretty impressive numbers. No walks, 4 strikeouts, and 3 1/3. Well, you know, as you're saying that, you start to think about this era of pitchers and the 6-inning start rather than the complete game, and the average starts declining, and you wonder maybe why managers don't ask that of guys on their side day more often. Well, there's a lot of guys that you don't want to see doing that, and that's young pitchers just starting. You never really know how durable they're going to be. But with Mike Pelfrey, he's a veteran pitcher, and he doesn't try to throw everything through the catcher. He has to mix speeds to be successful these days, and so it was perfect for him. There's strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Pelfrey as we show you our Sox Math answer for today. It was essentially put your name on this paper. 3 hits for Hansen, 3 hits for Narvaez, 6 is the answer, and P. Knowles is back. We should absolutely disqualify him. Why? Because he's too good. And this was a ridiculously easy question. So, I mean, it was actually beneath him. So you're saying he should have left that to the others? Yes, but wait till he sees that prize he's going to get. Well, again, if you didn't join us yesterday, the prize shelf was held up in custom, so we have to send you prizes from the press box here in Toronto. Just wait. Don't get too excited. If it sounds thrilling, lower your expectations. 1-1 on Tulowitzki from Pelfrey, and the Sox starting rotation is getting a little bit more crowded with James Shields scheduled to come back tomorrow.
Carlos Rodon starting tonight for Charlotte against Indianapolis.
James was throwing it real well before he got hurt.
Sanchez is there for out number 3. Pelfrey has sent away 7 in a row. 2-1 Sox after 4. And Superhero Night collide June 29th as the Sox take on the Yankees. 7:10 p.m. First 10,000 fans will receive this Go-Go White Sox tee. Plus, don't miss your favorite superheroes roaming the concourse throughout the game. Purchase your tickets today, whitesox.com or 866 Sox Game. I think we might have a contestant for fan of the day. And I think it's the two-hatted one, as there's a ground ball to second base. And Goins retires Omar to start off the 5th. See, the one with the pink hat underneath, I think, is a really good look and should be a contender for fan of the day, which we'll do later in the game.
Absolutely, that would be one of the choices. File that one away because we will have a couple of more options as we move along. I do like, however, phenomenal source tweeting that we should send P. Knowles a bag of milk from up here
for his Sox math victory. Strike number 1 to Sanchez. I do kind of like the idea of yesterday's winner deciding what today's winner gets as a prize. So maybe we'll do the pay it forward Sox math edition at some point. Ball and a strike on Yolmer, who had an outstanding defensive play in last night's game with a jumping grab at second base and showed off quite the vertical leap. You know, here in Toronto, though, with the roof closing, you end up with a bunch of eye black on, and now there's no sun.
Oh, but it does come in handy if you're in the outfield on line drives that don't get above the lights.
Outside from Stroman. There's Miguel Gonzalez with a Love My Dad eye black here for Father's Day weekend. Strike nipped the corner, 3-2.
Stroman does not have a walk yet, and he gave up the back-to-back home runs in the second inning. Other than that, just 2 lone singles. So he's kept the pitches to a minimum.
That won't help as Sanchez takes ball 4. It's a 1-out walk. We are just about completely indoors.
Except for that. Over 30,000 here last night. Looks like a bigger crowd here today. There's a lot of people at the Rogers Center.
Dating back to 1989. After evidently there was a Grey Cup some years prior that was played outdoors over at the old exhibition place, and the rain was so bad that the fans said we need something indoors to make sure that this rain bowl type thing never happens again. So then they built this structure, and the Argos played here for a long time along with the Blue Jays.
I was on the White Sox for that inaugural game in 1977. It was snowed out, and then the Canadian Babe Ruth, Doug Ault, with 2 home runs on the official opening day for the Toronto Ball Club.
Ball and a strike on Hansen. What was that opening day like?
More snow than you could imagine, cold and very windy. No way in the world to play the game, and it just showed you why a dome would be necessary. They built themselves a very nice ballpark here if you're a hitter. Not so much for pitchers.
On the ground and past third. Donaldson couldn't spear it, so Hansen's on. Sanchez to second.
That'll be an interesting call because it's a play he certainly should have made. He knows he should have made it. Most unhappy with himself as this one scoots under the glove. It is E5, but that one just flattened out on him. He expected off the artificial surface a higher hop. You tell young ball players especially, you keep the glove down and you come up with the hop. So if it does flatten out, you're able to make the play. If you keep your glove high and it flattens out, you have no chance, as we saw there with Donaldson.
Melky takes a ball. The first reaction of a fielder so often, even a guy who's played the game as long as somebody like Josh Donaldson, is to look at the glove as if there were actually a hole in it.
Well, he also wants to see if the ball might have stuck in it. In this case, no, it did not. I think a lot of people felt because of his offensive prowess, as Maley comes to the mound to talk to Stroman, but a lot of people felt and still believe that Donaldson is a great third baseman. He's a good third baseman. He's only made 3 errors this year, that being third. But with all of the leg problems, he just doesn't have the kind of mobility he might have once had. But when you can hit the ball like he can, you're a very valuable member of whatever team you happen to be on.
2-0 to Melky. On the ground, back to Stroman. Tulowitzki covers, and it's 2. No hole there. Stroman's fired up. 2-1 Sox still. Well, that could fluctuate though over the course of the game, so that'll be fun to monitor as Mike Pelfrey throws to Dwight Smith Jr. for ball number 1. We were talking about Rogers Center dating back to 1989. It was called Skydome then. Dwight Smith's father back in 1989, you may have been there, did something that you rarely see, especially a rookie, do. He sang the national anthem at a game on the north side.
I do remember that. Good voice.
Can we get you to sing an anthem?
Maybe we can get Dwight Smith.
That's deflecting. 2-1 on Smith Jr. So that's a no.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a good career move at this point. Fans would go scurrying for the exits.
Second time through the order. This is 7, 8, and 9 against Pelfrey. And Smith takes a strike that ran over the inside corner. Two and two. Smith takes high, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Pelfrey has retired 7 straight coming into this at bat.
You got to have Smith hit his way on. He's got pretty good speed, and even at the bottom part of the order in a 1-run game, you just don't want to walk him to lead off an inning.
On the ground, Anderson, 1 down. Steve told you about a very snowy day in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Let's flash you back to 1977, April the 7th, and not exactly fit for baseball.
And when Ken Brett, one of the starting pitchers on that team, decided that he was going to use the shin guards, got on his knees and looked like he was skiing across the infield. It was a nasty day.
Makeshift snowshoes. One down for Ryan Goins. And there is ball number 1 to Goins, who provided the only RBI so far for Toronto today.
65 pitches for Mike Pelfrey, so he's kept it to a minimum, throwing a whole lot of strikes. He has yet to walk any of these Blue Jays. There's only been 1 walk in the ball game. That was to Yolmer last inning.
Ball and a strike on Goins. By the way, next inning we're going to find out exactly how well you remember that series with the snow and all on the field. You're shaking your head.
Not well enough. It was part of a lost decade.
2 balls and a strike. Before anybody had home electronics and a fast forward button, you jumped from 69 to 80.
Seemingly, yes. Goins, who's a master with the glove, has a double to show for his efforts today.
In the air to left field, Melky is back on it for out number 2. Join us at Guaranteed Rate Field as the Sox take on the Texas Rangers Saturday, July 1st. First 20,000 fans get a White Sox Hawaiian shirt presented by Beggar's Pizza. Visit whitesox.com to purchase your tickets today.
Nice looking shirt.
Nice looking line for Pelfrey at this point.
He's just coasting right along. Would love to see it end here and then worry about the top of the lineup next inning.
Ball 1 to the catcher Maley, who's 10 for 78 this year. 2 extra base hits, and they're both home runs. By my count, Mike Pelfrey's been to just 4 3-ball counts so far. He struck out 2, Got a fly ball from one and the ground out from Smith here in the 5th.
You had to look at Russell Martin, who is the other catcher for the Blue Jays. And there's a look at Russell, who came up with the Dodgers, signed a very nice free agent contract for the native Canadian.
Two and one from Pelfrey. Maile takes a strike. 2-2.
Russ Atkins, who is the general manager, working under Mark Shapiro, who was longtime Cleveland Indians executive. He's got his work cut out for him. He's got some long-term deals that he's not going to be able to have taken off his hands. So when you're looking to try to make a deal, it's tough.
Avi in right, drifting back, and he has it for out number 3. So Pelfrey's not allowed a base runner since the 2nd inning. 2-1 Sox in game 2.
Whistling Straits, site of the 2020 Ryder Cup. Discover 4 of Golf Digest's top 100 public courses, all located in Kohler, Wisconsin. Learn more at whistlingstraits.com/Sox. Beautiful golf courses, just a couple hours north of Chicago.
I can hear the water at the course.
Great water.
You want to avoid it
if you can.
If your ball makes a plop sound, you really don't enjoy it very much. Abreu, Garcia, and Frazier trying to add on here with a 2-1 lead after back-to-back homers in the 2nd inning.
Good hard slider to lead it off, and Jose has played pepper with Tulowitzki at shortstop a couple of times. Donaldson is back and over toward the line.
Jose checked his swing and didn't go. 1 ball, 1 strike. All time just 2 for 12 for Abreu against Stroman.
Jose's having a hard time picking up that slider. It's got tight spin. It looks like a fastball and then just dives away. There's a fastball and they want it in.
A little bit lower than right down central, but Jose was behind it. 1-2.
See if Maile wants to go back to that slider. That's a sinker, and he wants it up and in. Usually that's what you reserved for your four-seam fastball, not your sinker. That's a two-seamer, and that's going to move into the hitter. And if you want it up, you want to throw it by him with velocity, and two-seamer is not a velocity pitch.
Abreu cracks this ball deep left center field, and it is gone. In a heartbeat in left, and it's 3-1.
Number 11. Jose's now driven in 41. It's a 2-run lead. All three solo shots. Our Ford home run replay. And this is a slider that he got over the middle of the plate and down. And Jose swinging it too well to miss one of these. It's a line drive rocket. Just high enough to get it over the wall. And Stroman can't believe it.
Well, he started them off with two pretty good sliders as that ball is rushed through the infield by Avi Garcia.
Avi broke his bat on that, but it wasn't hit close enough to Tulowitzki for him to make the catch. Greg Sparks. Looking at the eyes of Jose Abreu, who's seeing everything real well right now.
Darryl Boston lifting spirits as always over at first. And time called. Frazier, who got Stroman in the second inning on a 3-1 pitch.
Came very close in the fourth inning, taking Pilar all the way back to the track in straightaway center.
Frazier gets well under this one on the right side of the infield for Ryan Goins. Time now for North America's fastest growing sensation, where we quiz Steve about his own career. Sticks and Stone, who was the only Blue Jays player to homer off you during the inaugural season in '77?
Well, my first reaction would be to go to the one left-hand hitter, Ron Fairley. So I will go away from that and go to Bob Baylor, who I don't think get many home runs off anybody, but might have had one.
You just have an inkling?
Yeah, or it could be Doug Ault also.
Yeah, it's one of the options.
Yeah,
that's what could be means.
I won't pick him, so I'll stick with Baylor, right or wrong.
I like your conviction. Much better than your logic. Davidson takes low, ball and a strike. Avi at first, 1 in, 1 out. Sox trying to win back-to-back games here in Toronto after yesterday's 11-4 victory. Jose Quintana got that win with a 7-inning outing that was quite strong.
76 home runs for the Sox this year, and that homer total is starting to climb. Sox were looking longingly at other teams' home run totals, and now ball is starting to jump out of the ballpark with regularity off the Sox bats.
Davidson rips it to second, Goins to first, double play. That does it for the inning, which started with this. Number 11 for Jose Abreu, deep in the count and deep into the Rogers Center. 3-1. 30th for Mullet Night and a post-game fireworks show presented by Great Clips. The night features haircuts courtesy of Great Clips and mullet wigs for purchase to support Ronald McDonald House charities. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
I would think that Ricky Renteria is going to be watching Mike Pelfrey closely. The bullpen is up and going. He's not going to be out there if he has some struggles, but so far no struggles today.
If you watch the pregame show, you heard Bill Melton talking about Pelfrey's difficulties third time through the order, and it was Bill's hypothesis that it was much more focus than fatigue. That would be the issue. Your thoughts? You're welcome to disagree.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the guy who's been along as much as Pelfrey has, where he has a focus difficulty. But in any case, Chris Beck is the man loosening in the pen, ready to go in case there are any problems. Mike has thrown it real well today.
Into center field, that's a base hit for Pilar to lead off the sixth.
That was a fastball right down the middle. He took it right back up the middle. So this was shaping up third time through to be a tough inning, and Don Cooper wants to have a word with him.
In part because words take time, you would imagine.
Yes, it does, and you want to make sure that Chris Beck is ready to go.
So Josh Donaldson is the batter, and in the first inning, you mentioned it, Pelfrey threw him basically exclusively away.
The whole at bat was spent away. It winds up with a strikeout, but he's trying to thread the needle on the outside corner, getting the benefit of a couple of calls, and then he throws one by him away, taking down a pretty good hitter.
Here's Donaldson's heat map since 2012 slugging percentage. So from the catcher's perspective, those red lines and boxes are inside to Donaldson. So you can make the argument to pitch him away, but you do have to use inside to get him out away, right?
Use inside as a show me pitch. You don't throw inside strikes to him, but you got to throw it in on his hands. He is enormously strong, but so far Mike has handled him in 2 at-bats.
So when, if you're going to say, okay, I got to throw him that show me pitch inside, when in the sequence would you typically do that?
You'd have to be ahead of him, because when you throw it inside, you would just as soon him swing at it. If you're not ahead or behind, he's not going to swing at a pitch 4 inches off the inside corner. He's just going to take it. That defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. But right now, where you're looking for a ground ball to turn into 2, either sliders or soft breaking balls away, trying to entice him to go out, try to pull it, and roll over it and get that ground ball to the left side.
Caught the fat part of the plate for strike 1. Donaldson came in at .319. He's 0 for 2 today. And a throw on Pilar. Sox trying to keep that double play in order.
That's a way to allow your bullpen to get a few extra pitches, is throw to first base a couple of times. Pilar is their #1 base stealing threat, however. You got to keep your eye on him. He swiped 10, been caught 4 times.
Team has 26. He has more than a third of the stolen bases for the Jays this year. That's outside. Ball and a strike on Donaldson. One and one from Pelfrey. Pilar bluffed, and so does Narvaez. 2-1.
Well, Pilar is thinking about going. This is a pretty good time to do it. The 2-1 pitch historically has been a good hit and run pitch.
Two balls, one strike. Pilar holds. There's a ground ball up the middle. Anderson to the bag. 2-1, double play.
Pilar could not get down there quickly enough, and looks like he might have hurt himself a bit as he went in and could not get a piece of Tim streaking across the bag. So they elect not to run. It cost him the double play. And Mike Pelfrey threw the ground ball when he had to throw it. With no movement, this becomes an easy 6-3, and Anderson, after the tag of the bag, goes up and over, and Pilar cannot get a piece of it.
That is great news for Mike Pelfrey, who tries to maneuver through the top of the order for the third time. Just one hit so far for the top three on the card for John Gibbons this afternoon. And now Bautista with the bases clear and 2 down.
Rick Renteria can get 6 innings out of Mike Pelfrey today, and he's an out away from doing that. It will be a wonderful performance.
There's a strike to the corner, and this is a Sox team that had struggled to get quality starts. Had a franchise record 13 straight games without a quality start last month into this one, and Pelfrey today has been very good.
He's changed speeds very well. He has mixed in his slow and slower curveball. He's thrown just enough inside to let the hitters know that he's thinking about them, but when he's gone to get just about each and every one of them, it's been away.
Three balls and a strike.
That might be one of the signs that Mike is losing it a bit, because he's had excellent control. That time Omar wanted that fastball inside, and Mike missed very badly low and away.
Three and one. Fouled away. 3-2 from Mike Pelfrey, wearing the blue for Father's Day. Mike was born on an Air Force base in Ohio. His birth father and Mike's mother separated very early in Mike's life, but since then he's had the opportunity to reunite with his birth father. Three balls and two strikes. Bautista high into the air, first base side. Abreu for out number 3. We go to the 7th. 3-1 Sox with the lead. for Sticks and Stone. You guessed who? You guessed Bob Baylor?
I did.
I think you're right.
Unbelievable. My luck north of the border.
It was a complete game win before you start going all sad sack on us.
No, I was, thinking that again with a 33% chance. I'm trying to think of what you would come up with. That's the only way I'm able to do it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, what if I didn't write that question?
Then I would have been laboring under a misconception.
Oh, don't do that.
Ooh. Mike Pelfrey, meanwhile, through 6 has been brilliant. This is an excellent job of pitching, and you would think that would be it.
He's getting some high fives in the dugout.
Well, you leave him with a real positive attitude about this performance. And coming off 1 inning of a relief stint, you really didn't know what you were going to get today. What we did get was an outstanding effort from a veteran right-hander against a team that hits the ball out of the park with great frequency. And Mike was able to keep the ball in the ballpark for 6 innings, giving up just 4 hits, only 1 extra base hit, that to Goins in the second.
Anderson at Tapper. This is tough. Maley's throw is just in time for the Jays and 1 away.
The break on this play for Maley was that it trickled out far enough to give him an angle on the throw, because if it's a little bit shorter, he's going to have to move out before he makes the throw. With a 360 spin, he gets it there, a step ahead of Anderson, and a good play by Maley.
With that, 1 down for Narvaez. And on Mike Pelfrey, again, you look at the last 6 starts now. If this is the end of the line for today, it will be 6 straight starts with 2 earned runs allowed or fewer.
You love to see this happening to one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet, Mike Pelfrey, who's had some difficulties. It didn't really work out as well as it could have with Detroit or with Minnesota. So he comes here, and this is a guy, a #1 draft pick with the New York Mets. He had overwhelming stuff, and then, like so many pitchers, this being a game of attrition, you lose that stuff, and then you have to make do with what you have. And in his case, he incorporated that big slow curveball, cutting the ball a bit, but he realizes that you got to have good control if you're not going to strike out a whole lot of guys. And with no walks today, to go with 5 strikeouts, all in all, when he looks back at this performance, it'll be one of his best of recent vintage.
Pelfrey, 9th overall that year back in 2005. 2 picks after Troy Tulowitzki went to the Rockies. Other guys in that 2005 first round were Justin Upton, Alex Gordon.
Justin Upton was the #1 pick. Alex Gordon has turned in a pretty solid career with Kansas City.
There's strike 3 and 2 down. Zimmerman, Ryan Braun, Tulowitzki, Pelfrey.
Good draft. Lots of talent at the top end of that one.
How about this 1980 draft? The manager draft. Ricky Renteria 20th, John Gibbons 24th, and Terry Francona in the middle 22nd.
And Ricky will probably say, well, yeah, but I was drafted ahead of those other 2 guys. There's a look at John Gibbons, who was given an extension in spring training. This is his 2nd go round with the Blue Jays. And in talking to him about it, he thought that he was much better equipped this time. He's a very likable guy. That's one of the reasons why they brought him back. You don't see that happen too much. A guy managing the same team twice.
Sanchez in the air to right field. Bautista is back at the warning track. Mariners Rangers coming up. The 1-2-3 inning. Bottom 7 coming up. We'll take a trip around Major League Baseball after this. on Major League Baseball during our telecasts. And this is Jeff Samardzija with the longest home run for a pitcher in the StatCast era. 446 feet he goes.
How about the exit velocity? 108.5. However, not one of his best outings, but he'll take the home run as Dan Jennings comes in the ball game. In talking with him before the game, he said he liked to pitch with the roof closed, and so on command, the roof is closed. He comes on for the 31st time. He's 2-1. His ERA a touch over 4. And there you look at the rest of the numbers. He inherits a 2-run lead. Mike Pelfrey went 6. Gave up a run that coming in the second inning on just 4 hits, only 1 extra base hit. Didn't walk anybody. He fanned 5. Just a great outing for the big right-hander. And of course, what would it be after a fine performance without an interview from Derek Holland? Talking about his childhood, how he got here, his aspirations for the future. Does he want a soft drink?
Product placement. Derek's got it all in his interviews.
Be a whole lot better if he opened the can, however.
I think Derek's last question was good job. Might want to work on that.
Good question, though. Insightful interview.
Jennings against Morales, who does have a better batting average in his career against lefties, but the slugging percentage is much higher against right-handers.
Because in the neighborhood, it's not an exact science. Of 65% of the time, he's swinging from the left side, and guys just get a much better stroke when they hit more.
Ball and a strike on Morales, who is 6th all-time in home runs by a Cuban-born player. 10 behind Minnie Minoso for his career now. On the ground, Anderson. Save on tickets for Dad with the Father's Day flash sale. Choose from 9 upcoming home games, including 3 against the Yankees, and get lower level tickets for just $10. This special offer ends Sunday at 5 p.m. So visit whitesox.com/father to order your tickets today. We have another contestant for fan of the game, and we will let you choose later on. It's a set of brides, evidently, all traveling together in a pack. They're doing the OK Blue Jays Let's Play Ball dance.
You wouldn't think that they would be enormous French fries that they're eating, would you?
I can't be sure. You want to run down and ask him real quick?
Sure. Don't go away.
1 strike on Smoak, who's happy to see Pelfrey out. 7 pitches to Smoak from Pelfrey in the game. 2 strikeouts. That changes. Smoak with a base hit with 1 down here in the 7th, and the tying run will come up with Tulowitzki.
Smoak much better hitter from the right side, and he showed it to you there. He came in hitting .360 as a right-hand hitter, just .272 with the overwhelming majority of his power as a lefty, but he's a natural right-hand hitter. And so Ricky Renteria coming out, and with Tulowitzki coming up, he is going to go to the pen. As Chris Beck comes in, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. action this weekend tonight. The Charlotte Knights take on Indianapolis at 6 on CSN Plus. Then tomorrow night, Yoan Moncada and the Knights wrap up the series versus Indy at 7 on CSN. And our Hyundai call to the pen is Chris Beck, who's done a very nice job lately. He inherits Smoak at first base. He's going to face the tying run on for the 22nd time. He's 1-0. His ERA right around 3 1/4. There you look at the rest of the numbers. Right-handers, left-handers, doesn't matter much. A 207 combined batting average against. And he'll be looking into Troy Tulowitzki.
Beck in his last 15 appearances has a 1.88 ERA and is allowing just a 1.30 average for the opposition. Ball 1 to Tulowitzki, who singled in the second and popped out in the fourth.
Both starting pitchers showed excellent control. Only one walk in the game, that to Yomer in the 5th inning. Like Pelfrey, 0 walks.
2 balls, no strikes on Tulowitzki.
Tommy Kane Lee loosening in the pen. Tommy is a guy that a lot of organizations are going to start to look at very seriously for acquisition.
Three balls, no strikes on Tulowitzki, and Toronto preparing for a possible comeback, and Stroman's exit. He's gone 7 and allowed the 3 solo home runs.
Ryan Tepera loosening up. We saw him along with just about everybody else in a perfect inning last night.
There's a strike down the chute to Tulowitzki. That was all hands on deck last night for the Jays out of the bullpen after the 1 inning plus. And that's all for Biagini.
John Gibbons was faced with covering 24 outs after an early departure by his starter.
Smoak at first, 1 down. Beck to Tulowitzki. Ball 4. Now you've got a battery of left-handers coming up. Smith and Goins, and 2 on with 1 out. And here comes another meeting. This time it's Don Cooper out of the dugout.
There's no doubt that none of the Sox pitchers know Dwight Smith Jr. very well, and that's one of the things Don Cooper is going over as he talks to Chris Beck. At the tying runs on base.
Sox aiming for a sweep here. That's still available. Tomorrow's game is on WGN, 12 o'clock start time. Then at the Twins for 3. Then the Sox begin a 10-game homestand, and Burley Day coming up next Saturday. Get there early, like in your seats by 12:15.
Yeah, they would like you to do that. Going to be a lot of people there. Very exciting day, commemorating the wonderful Sox career and the career overall of Mark Buehrle.
This is the Burley Bowl. Dwight Smith Jr. 2 on, 1 out, and ball 1. Sox have a shift on for Smith. Playing him to pull on the infield. Into center field it goes. Smoak's around third. The Jays are back on the board.
First run batted in. Dwight Smith Jr. That one just barely getting through, but through it was. Sinker away. Smith goes back up the middle. And it's a one-run game.
And that will do it for Beck. So 2 on, 1 out. And Ricky Renteria is going back to the bullpen. Tommy Kane Lee was loosening up. And it's a tenuous lead here at Rogers Center. One final drink for Tommy Kane Lee before he comes in to put out the fire. 2 on, 1 out. Your very own Derby competition in the official MLB.com home run derby game on the App Store and Google Play. Swing for the fences against more than 10 million players from around the world as your favorite Derby All-Star. Hopefully the leak is put out.
In time for a Hyundai call to the pen. It's Tommy Kane Lee and what is best described as a high leverage situation. On for the 28th time, a sparkling ERA of 1.35. He inherits the game on the bases. Tulowitzki and Smith. Tulowitzki the tying run. Smith with very good speed the go-ahead run.
You know, the one thing Tommy Kane Lee has not done a lot of this year, just in terms of volume, is inherited runners. Situations like this where he comes in with guys on base. He's only seen 5 inherited runners this year. 1 has scored. Ryan Goins, the lefty, sees a fastball down. Kane Lee, who has had a marvelous season for the Sox in his 2nd year with the team, trying to earn a double play and the right to go to the 8th inning with the lead. 2-0. Russell Martin, by the way, has grabbed a bat on deck. Maley, the starting catcher, looks like he'll be taken down.
Russell Martin doesn't have a pinch hitting appearance this year.
First 2-0 on Goins. Tulowitzki and Smith on the bases. And Goins fouls it away.
And Goins is singing it very well today. his double in the second inning to go along with a line drive rocket, but Melky running under it in the fifth inning.
Tommy Kane Lee on 2-1 for Goins. On the ground, Anderson, Sanchez, double play. That'll do it. Tommy Kane Lee does the job. 3-2 after 7.
eClickLending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland and is rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Boom! Your mortgage just happened. And we got a new pitcher coming in the ball game. It is Ryan Tepera, on for the 30th time. Having a very good year. 4-1, 2.78 ERA. We saw him for an inning last night. And he went 1-2-3 in the 8th inning, facing Cabrera, Abreu, and Garcia. So let's take a look at a very spiffy 6-4-3 and out of the inning. Goins hits it right at Anderson from one knee, a perfect throw, and Yolmer doesn't have to use that real quick release as they take down 2 and out of the inning. Once again, Tommy Kane Lee getting the job done, as happened so often this year.
Little intensity in the Todd Frazier, Tommy Kane Lee Northeast high five there.
Yeah, you get in the middle of that and you wind up on the disabled list for a couple of months. Those are two strong guys.
So it'll be the top of the order for the Sox with Hansen, Cabrera, and Abreu trying to add on.
Really good time for an insurance run as things getting a little too tight here north of the border.
Strike one from Tepera to Hansen, who reached on an error last time.
Marcus Stroman was very good, going 7 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits with just 1 lone walk and 5 strikeouts. And his slider inside to the left-hand hitters was very tough to deal with for the offense today.
Half bunt chop running looking thing.
It's a nice idea, but very difficult to execute. They used to call that the butcher boy or the slug bunt or a number of other things, but
you don't like my term for it?
Yeah, that's good. You do whatever you need to do and whack down on it and hope something happens. That's kind of a good description of it. You want to bring in the third baseman, in this case Donaldson, and then try to chop it over his head. I would say overwhelmingly it doesn't work very well because it's hard to execute.
There's a short term for it for what we saw today. It's strike 2. Inside, ball and 2 strikes.
With the speed of Hansen, it'd be nice to get him aboard leading it off. He has been on once. That was an error in the 5th inning. That was on Donaldson.
Two and two for Hansen, who had his first major league home run during the last homestand as a pinch hitter in the only Sox loss in that series with Baltimore. 3 of 4 to the Sox in that series. 2 and 2 from Tepera. Up the middle, that's a base hit. And now with the speed of Hansen, the Sox can play around a little bit with Melky's ability to handle the bat.
Taking it right back up the middle. It's a fastball away, and the swipe in a vain but valiant attempt to keep that ball in the infield. Now really good speed aboard. And the question, if you're sitting in the chair of Ricky Renteria, is you want to go with a straight steal, or would you just as soon go with a hit and run?
Melky is 1 for 3. And sniffing out that something is on, Tepera throws on Hansen. Doesn't take the best sense of smell to figure out that this is a situation where you might see the runner go.
See a little movement, and now the lead, after seeing that first move to first, that lead is probably a step further out for Allen.
Another throw. Tepera just 21 hits in 35 2/3, so base runners are not the norm against him this year. He misses with ball 1 to Melky. Hansen does not run. Melky lays down a bunt, and Tepera throws to first on 1 hop.
Good scoop by Smoak, who's an excellent defender. And Melky gets the job done. Tepera only has 1 play. Does not make a good throw, but a good backhand pick by Smoak. And not surprisingly, that's the first sacrifice bunt of the year for Melky.
So now Abreu, and we'll see how the Jays want to play this. You could go ahead and walk Abreu. Avi Garcia, with his exceptional season, though, is next. See how much Jose gets to hit here.
I would think that as good a year as Avi has had, this is the one guy in the lineup you don't want to beat you. Because for the last 3 years, he's been all everything. And right now, he's swinging it well. All 11 of his home runs have come on the road.
One came inside just enough, and Abreu fouls it away. So Hansen at second base, 1 down, 8th inning. Sox playing to double the lead, trying to pick up that run. And a wheel to second base by Tepera, the right-hander out of Sam Houston State. His alma mater went to the Super Regional round in the NCAA baseball tournament.
Turned out to be a great pick. They got him in the 19th round, and at 96 with his fastball, he's got very good stuff. That slider missed low and away.
Career ERA of 3 for Tepera in short time in his first 2 seasons. 33 innings back in 15, then 18 and a third last year.
What makes Jose so difficult to deal with? He's got a slugging average of .584 against anything other than a fastball. Major league average of .373. That'll get the job done.
He homered on a slider earlier, and here hits this ball very well left center field. Pilar is back, and he makes the catch with Smith oncoming. Hansen is into third. That's a new left fielder getting a lesson from one of the best in baseball.
Well, first of all, that was almost straightaway center field. Second of all, the center fielder is always the captain of the outfield, and Dwight Smith almost interfered with Pilar enough. So instead of giving way, he gets right up in the grill of Pilar, who keeps his concentration, makes the catch. Jose just missed that ball because that was a towering fly ball, and Tepera is lucky it stayed in the park.
It's up to Avi Garcia, who singled back in the 6th. Came in second in the American League in batting average. Had a 1 for 3 today. Actually has brought his average down just a hair. He came in at .337.
Runners in scoring position, very similar to his average this year, but .344, 39 driven in on the 5 home runs. That is a big insurance run in Alan Hansen at third base.
Oh, 1. Eye level with Avi. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan Tepera with a deep breath before a 1-1 to the resurgent Avi Garcia. Hansen at third, 2 down. In the dirt, and a nice stop by Maile to save that run.
Quick movement to his right on a slider in the dirt. This could turn out to be one of the bigger plays of the ball game. Kept it a 1-run deficit for the moment. And Tulowitzki comes on to talk to his young right-hander. He knows the guy he's facing has been red hot. And the man in the on-deck circle is hitting just a touch over 200. And that's what you do when a guy is hitting in the mid-330s.
Send him along to first, so Garcia is on. First and third, 2 out for Todd Frazier.
If there was ever a case for heightened focus, it's right here. When they put the man on ahead of you, decide not to pitch to him because they want to pitch to you, it gives you a little added incentive. Todd has always been a run producer his entire career, so he doesn't need that much more incentive, but this will give it to him.
Career high 98 driven in last year for Frazier. Big spot here, and he takes ball 1.
They're still missing with that slider, and Maile still able to keep the ball in front of it.
Hansen led off the inning with a single. He was bunted to second. Fly ball got him to third. Avi intentionally walked. Ball, no strikes to Frazier. Hansen started running home, and Tepera had his attention drawn away from Frazier. On the ground, third base, and booted by Donaldson. Hansen scores 4-2.
Second error of the day for Josh Donaldson. This one is very costly. It's only the fourth error of the year. And down the line it goes. It never hits the artificial surface, so it takes a true bounce, and he just misses it. Huge insurance run. The second error of the game by Donaldson.
Donaldson twice has stared down his glove, and this time it's worth a run. 4-2 Sox here in the 8th. And now Matt Davidson looking for more. He takes strike one. Matt has hit the ball well today. He's 2 for 3, and the out was a line out double play. Slider for strike 2.
Sox came away with what they really needed with one insurance run. Now starting to feel a little greedy.
0-2.
And Matt waiting for Tepera to hang one of those sliders.
Pitch number 20 of the inning. Swing and a miss. The Sox get a run though and double the lead to 4-2 thanks to the error. Bottom 8 coming next. Yeah, how about it? Thanks for doing that wherever you may be watching through the app. And this has been a dandy. 4-2 Sox with the lead thanks to an add-on run in the top.
And Russell Martin's going to come on to pinch hit to lead it off.
He's in for Maley, who looked like he was going to have saved a run. in the top of the 8th inning with a nice pick on a slider that was wayward from Tepera, but the Sox did get that run on the error from Donaldson.
6 home runs, that's not too bad, but only 12 driven in for Russell Martin, who's pinch hitting for his first time this year.
Tommy Kane Lee at 98 toward the inside corner.
That appeared to be a two-seamer, had good late movement. Bearing down and in on Martin, who swung over the top.
Martin reels that time, and you would too at 98 miles an hour. Kane Lee mulls over at 2-1. To third, Davidson at the line has out number 1.
That knew he had some time with Russell Martin running. He took his time. Made a good play out of it. You got to come get this. You can't wait for this next hop because it's going to eat you up, and Matt crossing over into foul territory with a good solid throw.
It's a big batter in Pilar. Reason being, Donaldson, who is after, could then, if Pilar were on, tie the game with 1 swing. If you get Pilar, Donaldson comes up in a spot you'd like. 2 out, nobody on in the 8th inning.
With a guy that's made a couple of errors today and would likely look for some makeup. The pen is up and going. The closer is Roberto Osuna. And Aaron Loop, who we saw in last night's game, the left-hander on the right.
Check swing, and he did go. Strike 2.
Tommy doesn't throw a lot of sliders, but it's so short and quick. And when you're looking in the low 90s for a slider, it's hard to identify, and once you do, it's harder to check it up.
Pilar stays alive. 0-2. It remains. And that pitch was a dandy toward the corner. Might not have been as up as Kane Lee wanted it, though.
I like the idea of another slider here. You've already shown him the high fastball. Let's see what Omar decides.
Called strike 3. It was a high breaking ball, and it got the job done.
It's a mistake, and sometimes when you're going well, Tommy is that. You get away with these. It's a backup slider. It just stays right in the middle of the plate. Pilar was not very happy with it. But he got the call from Mike Winters. So you get the eventual situation of facing Donaldson with nobody on. And he can hit it 8 miles if he wants to. It's not going to tie up the game.
He can open the roof if he cares to, and it won't do the major damage it could have. Long day for Donaldson. A couple of errors in the field. First one came in the 5th inning on an Allen Hansen ball, but this was the costly one that got the run home in the top of the inning. And by the way, with the bat, he bounced into a double play in the 6th.
Not one that he's going to remember too fondly.
And you hope it stays that way.
Just through one more at bat.
Kane Lee came in the 7th and got a double play ground ball. He's retired the first 2 here in the 8th, and now he's got Donaldson down 1-2.
If Narvaez decides to call a straight change, Donaldson's going to probably screw himself into the ground trying to go after it. Because with good backspin on the Kane Lee straight change, it looks exactly like a fastball. Now this is going to be that fastball. It's going to be away.
Strike 3 on the corner. Tommy Kane Lee aces Josh Donaldson in a 1-2-3-8. What a season for that man. Cheese spread game card, good for savings on delicious Merck's cheese in the deli or dairy case at your local grocer. Watching the White Sox and saving on Merck's cheese. Some fans have all the luck. Purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
We got a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and we saw Aaron Loup last night. It was not a successful appearance for him. He's 2-0, ERA 2.63. Both of the runs that he gave up last night, courtesy of a home run. And Russell Martin, who came out to pinch hit, checks in the game beyond the plate.
First pitch hunting. That ball is swatted to left center by Tim Anderson. And let's see the speed from Tim. He's into second and stops there as the ball came in fairly quickly. Leadoff double for Tim Anderson in the ninth.
First pitch swinging, got that fastball and drilled it. So looking for one more insurance run. He's out at second base with nobody out.
Tim has hit left-handers so well. He's a career .320 hitter in his now 2 seasons against left-handed pitching.
Very promising start, and now the man who does make a whole lot of contact, Omar Nervious, although he does have a strikeout today. A couple of them.
Lefty lefty, he will bunt and he jabs it down third base side. Tim is into third and nobody behind him on a possible throw, so Nervious creates the possibility of a productive out for a 5th run.
Perfect bunt. You want to bunt it right at Donaldson. He was able to do that. Tim Anderson, knowing there was nobody at third because Donaldson had to make the play, takes a big aggressive turn, looking perhaps for juggling the baseball or an errant throw. Got neither, and now the infield in at all 4 positions.
For Yolmer Sanchez, who walked in the 5th, struck out in the 3rd and flied out in the 7th. All it takes is a fly ball here, and it's 1 strike on Sanchez.
Yolmer does have a sacrifice fly this year.
Sanchez lays down the bunt. Anderson scores. And Sanchez is safe at first. Ball gets away. Yolmer peels off for second, and the Sox, with guile, get a run in the ninth.
That's the first successfully executed suicide squeeze, and every other squeeze had been a safety squeeze. But this time Anderson was coming down the line, meaning that Yolmer had to make some contact. Here he comes. Timing is exceptional. And with a left-hander on the mound, he's not looking at Anderson. Loop throws it away. Great execution. It goes sac E1. Another big insurance run. And the guys have successfully bunted their way into a 3-run lead.
That was a wonderful piece of bat handling by Yolmer Sanchez. And now Alan Hansen bunts it foul. The parade has started and we weren't notified. The South Side buntmen of 2017.
It's worked exceptionally well, and for the first successful suicide squeeze here on June 17th, Sox get a much needed insurance run late.
Hansen sprays it foul, 0-2. Todd Steverson might have to change his title to bunting coach after this inning.
The Sox have been using a pitching machine at home to get a little more velocity for the guys that are attempting to bunt. And today it's worked brilliantly.
It's a high energy clubhouse, and this has been a high energy ninth inning.
The team came out of the Baltimore series with a whole lot of momentum coming here north of the border. Baltimore was a struggling team. Toronto was not. Toronto was a team playing pretty decent baseball, but
there goes the runner, and Hansen, with Sanchez having to retreat to second on the foul ball, stays alive.
Heads up play, because he would have taken third base easily. Very happy dugout. Tommy Kane Lee came on doing what he's done all year, but this was as much pressure as he's been under. He threw the double play ground ball with pretty much the game on the line, and then had a wonderful 8th inning. So Kane Lee continues to do a job that maybe last year or the year before you could only dream about. This year he's gotten everybody out from the time the season started up until today.
On the ground and foul wide of Donaldson from Hansen. Alan Hansen, Sox leadoff batter last 2 days, and he has scored a total of 4 runs. Former Pittsburgh Pirate, just brought on by the Sox. And he has shown very capable ability at the top of the lineup card. Good speed. Handles the bat well as he grounds this one to Loop. It's through the wickets, but the Blue Jays do get the out. And Sanchez remains at second base. I'm telling you about our fan of the game that we're going to pick on our telecast. And this is our third option. It's a young lady who may grow up to be a cheerleader. So we've got the brides, we've got the yellow Paddington Bear hats, and we've got the young lady cheering.
She's very excited about this one. Maybe not quite as happy about the way the 8th and 9th inning have gone, but she was very excited.
You got to keep hope alive. Although the Sox are doing their best to squash it.
Extinguish the hope.
I don't know that I'd run on that platform, by the way, if I were you. Here's Melky. Loop high in the air for out number 3. Sox get a run, though, on the bunting of Narvaez and Sanchez. 5-2, bottom 9 next. Game and vote along with us. Who is your fan of the game that we've seen in the telecast? Is it Paddington Bear with pink hat? Is it Brides with food? Or is it Little Blue Jays fan with hope? 1, 2, or 3. Hashtag fan of the game. Vote along with us as the Sox try and close this puppy out in Toronto.
And they brought in the closer to do just that. David Robertson. 10 of 11 in save situations. His ERA. 3.33, 3-2 record. The rest of the numbers very good. 35 strikeouts in 24 1/3 innings. And he deals with the middle of the order as the Blue Jays trying to stay alive against one of the hotter closers around.
It will be 3 outs before 3 runs if the Sox are to take game number 2 here in Toronto. 11-4 yesterday, 5-2 here today. And Jose Bautista first to take ball number 1.
He's liked what he's seen of David Robertson in the past. Those are pretty big numbers.
David got the strike there. Bautista still hitless in this series. He's 0 for 6 with a couple of strikeouts. Breaking ball outside. Two and 1. Fastball fouled away. 2-2. $12 o'clock start time tomorrow. James Shields is back against Jay Happ. Sox are hoping that will be for the sweep here at Rogers Center. Two and 2. Very playable for Hansen. 1 down.
Just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And here's our Miller moments. Todd Frazier taking one deep. That's his 11th. That kicked off the scoring. And Mike Pelfrey getting interviewed after the game by Derek Holland, who looks aghast, offering him a soft drink.
Very forceful interview.
Losing the concept of opening it before it's offered, but nonetheless, our Miller moments.
Mike Pelfrey was so good he doesn't even need to open cans to drink them. Today,
he deserves it with this performance today, because regardless of how this plays out, he outpitched Marcus Stroman, who was on a hot streak, hadn't lost since the middle of April coming into today.
2 strikes on Morales. Stroman, who, as we told you, is a massive ground ball pitcher, got victimized by the Sox long ball tendency today. Ball and 2 strikes on Morales. There is a swinging strike 3. Ball gets away, and Omar is there to collapse on out number 2 with the bases cleared.
Unfortunately, Morales did not locate the baseball, because if he did run, it would have been a whole lot closer at first base, as this one sneaks through the legs of Omar, and he responds with a good solid throw and 1 out to go.
Two down, bases empty. Justin Smoak, the Blue Jays home run leader and the home run leader in baseball over the last month or so, could only make the game 5-3. And if you're looking for somebody who was a game MVP type that you may not realize from the box score, it is Tommy Kane Lee, who came in the 7th inning, got a double play, and then a 1-2-3-8.
As things were starting to dissolve in that inning, Kane Lee came on and restored order, which is something that he's done consistently this year.
2 strikes on Smoak.
All in all, and we will assume that it's going to end with the Sox on top, this has been a very entertaining baseball game.
It's had a lot.
Yeah, it has that.
0-2 from Robertson. And Smoak takes. Ball and 2 strikes. 2 down. 1 more strike to get to guarantee a series win. And Smoak stays alive. But Mike Pelfrey got it to the bullpen in a very palatable situation to allow Kane Lee to do what he did.
This was a masterful performance. He changed speeds well through all strikes. You see no walks, 6 innings, just 4 hits and 1 earned run. He did it on 86 pitches, and he got 18 outs, leaving the bullpen with just 9 to get.
Called strike 3, and there it is. David Robertson, a 1-2-3 ninth, and the Sox have won 2 in a row in Toronto.
Some good work out of the bullpen, just enough offense, some pretty sparkling defense, all things considered, and the Sox have won the first 2 here in Toronto. So a very happy group, in line with high fives and all of the accolades that go with it. You can't understate the performance of Mike Pelfrey, coming off 1 inning of bullpen work, getting the start here today, and he set the tone for everything, getting through a 1-2-3 first inning, and just did a wonderful job.
Sweep time tomorrow. See you then.
Indeed, we'll see you then.
So for our producer Keon Dolachak.